So what are the top 3 things that slow down all websites? And 2 things that also slow down WordPress sites. One of the top things that slow down a lot of websites is using videos, especially using videos right at the top. There's nothing worse than to use a full screen video. The number of clients that I've had who've had all these great videos, they spent thousands on producing these videos, putting them at the top so when the visitor arrives, all the visitor gets to see is a stalled image. The video doesn't run. It starts running like 20 seconds later when the person scrolled down the page and moved to the next page. 99.8% of the time, all those clients get rid of the video because they would never get the speed expectations that they want. They don't get them met. They're always struggling with speed. So video is number 1, especially right at the top and especially full width video. Get rid of it. Never use it. If you do use video, then make sure it's below the fold. You've already heard earlier on about above the fold and below the fold. Make sure your images of your videos are below the fold so that if they do load, then the very first part of the page is loaded first. The user has a quick user experience and then they get to experience the videos further down the page. In addition, make sure that your videos load a placeholder image. That they don't load the video itself. It looks like a video. It's got the little icon for the actual video, but it's actually an image which loads very fast. And then when they click on it, the actual video starts to load because it starts to download at that point. The next thing, the second biggest thing, is images. Oversized images. The number of clients that I have that will have 1.2 meg, 3.3 meg images. And if I go into GT Matrix and sort them, I can see them all, the big images up at the top. 300 kilobytes is like normal. I very often see images, so many images above 1 megabyte, and the client wonders why the site loads slow. I spend a lot of time educating clients about updating their publishing processes because they have no process for publishing images. Images must be optimized off-site before they're loaded onto the site. Very important. Do not allow your site to use image optimization software to manage that process, which is a manual process. When you build the page, you optimize the images. Don't try to allow software to do that later. It just won't do it. You'll never get the results that you want. The third thing is fancy functionality. The number of clients that want these whizzy-bang stuff and things jumping around all over the place, well, that's great. It has to be done extremely carefully. When you add functionality to your website, you have to add JavaScript, you have to add CSS, you have to add maybe other things as well to make that all work. And one thing you might not aware, if you're not a developer, is that when the developer builds those things, they use libraries to get the functionality that they want. They don't build a custom solution, they use a library. Now a library might have 10 different functionalities, of which you're only going to use one, but all that code is sitting in there from the library and that is loaded on your website just to get that one little tweak that you wanted. Be very, very careful of basically heavy functionality on your website. People basically these days want to just get information fast. That's very important. A little bit of functionality is good. It's important. You want some interactivity and so on, but it has to be done extremely carefully because if you're doing it in certain parts of your website, all that code that is needed to create that functionality will slow your website down and people will leave your site, leave your page before they've even got to see all the whizzy bits. Speed is crucial, and remember, at mobile speed, that's even more crucial. So there's 2 things for WordPress. I've mentioned it in the earlier module, plugins and themes. You must test your website. When you add a new plugin or add multiple plugins, you must do a speed test using GT Metrics. Don't just load new plugins without testing the speed. It should be part of your common publishing processes. The same goes for themes. If you buy a new theme, test it out before you actually buy it. Test it out on the demo where you're going to buy it from. Now, it's not an amazing test because, of course, it's not your server, it's not your images and so on, but it does give you a key indication of what's going on. Themes, WordPress themes that have a lot of functionality, all the whizzy stuff, are predominantly slow. Themes that use builders like Elementor are predominantly slow. Now, I'm not saying that Elementor is slow. This is a page builder inside WordPress. I'm not saying Elementor is slow because it can be speeded up, but compared to a raw HTML page created inside WordPress, Elementor is slower. But of course, there's a payoff. There's always these payoffs that are getting considered. But Elementor can be fast, but you have to be very careful what you're doing. So there's the 5 things. Be focused on those things and you'll start getting less than 1 second load times. Yahoo!